Okay, part two of my, I guess, delivery and just at the hospital experience. So when we were getting ready to leave, they came in and the lactation nurse wanted to see Ryan feed, and at this time they were both feeding off of bottles. The breastfeeding was a little difficult with two, and they weren't latching as well that I wanted them to, so we were definitely trying to get them as much formula, and at the time I had a little bit of breast milk that I was pumping, and so I was giving them that as well through the bottles. So she wouldn't, again, she was tiring out very quickly, and she wasn't getting her minimum amount of formula or breast milk that she was supposed to be getting at this age. So the lactation nurse said she was really afraid to let us go home, knowing that she may end up coming back because of the she wasn't eating properly. So we ended up staying. Again, they don't have a NICU there, so it was very worrisome, and it was kind of my worst fear. And she assured me that this wasn't a NICU case. It was just she just wasn't eating. She felt like she was still in the stomach and didn't have to work for food, and so it's just a matter of her having to adjust and learn that, hey, you have to actually suck to get the food in your system. So, and I asked if that, if that would be, kind of cured or, solved within a couple of days, and she said it's really up to her. A lot of times when babies do this, when they learn that that's what they have to do to eat, it kind of just happens, and they just, within 24 hours they're able to be released. So I was so afraid I was going to have to go home and leave the babies there because they wanted to watch Carter too, to make sure that he was going to continue to eat well. So I was really upset about that, but they were very kind, and they let us stay in the room that we were in, and basically they discharged me, but they kept the babies, and they let the babies stay in the room with me, and they let me feed them, let us still have visitors, like all that. I was very thankful. It was basically we were staying in a hotel, and so we had to do that for several days. We were actually there for 11 days total. That's including my C-section. So about a week after they were born, or after our release date, we had to stay an extra week. I will admit that I did get a little emotional because I didn't, staying in that room all the time and not getting out, doing much. I kind of got cabin fever, and so I had a little bit of a breakdown. So my mom ended up coming and getting me. My husband stayed with the babies because someone had to stay in that room in order for us to keep it. So my husband stayed with the babies. My mom came and got me. I came home, got my body pillow because I wasn't sleeping well at all. After a C-section, everything's just uncomfortable. You're still in a little bit of pain, and so that was good. I was able to get a little bit of a break, and then the next day we went out and got me some loose, comfortable clothing, and I got to walk around a little bit at our local Walmart. Went to my best friend's house, took a real good, decent shower. Because she lives near the hospital, and so that was great. And then also while we were there, my mom, because we were there for so long, my mom ended up staying with the babies one evening while my husband took me out to the movies, and then we just came back after the movie and continued on. My husband did have to go back to work the Monday after they were born. Let's see. I take that back. He didn't go the Monday after they were born. He went, he was able to stay out of work for a few days, and then he had to go back, after his vacation time was up, because he didn't want to use up all of his vacation time. And honestly, there wasn't any sense in him being there with me. and the babies when we had all the nurses around. And my mom and my mother-in-law took turns coming and staying with me, and then my best friend, thankfully she works at the hospital, and she was bringing us breakfast every morning and coming and checking on me, and just it was very good that I went to that hospital. If I had went to the other hospital, they wouldn't have let me stay. They would have kicked us out in a heartbeat. So anyway, Ryan took a little while. She had her ups and downs, and she actually... What's the matter? What's the matter? Here's a pic. Carter. He's awake. Say hi. Say hi. Can you say hi? He's half asleep. And he has hiccups. See, I'm growing. See, I'm growing a lot. Oh gosh, the cat's on there. Gotta get the kitty down. There she goes. So, we ended up staying there, and, there you go. Ryan ended up having, she stopped eating almost completely, so she ended up having to have a tube put in her nose and, tube fed, and so basically what we did for several days was we would try to feed her and get her to eat as much as we could. Then when she tired out, they topped her off with the tube to make sure she was getting what she needed. She also was on a higher calorie formula because she wasn't eating as much. As long as the higher calorie was being used, she didn't have to eat as much. So we did do that, and then they also, because I wanted her on breast milk, they ended up getting us some fortifier, which you put in the breast milk to make it high calorie too, which was very, very convenient for them, awesome for them to do that, because I didn't want her to be strictly on formula. And let me go ahead and show you Ryan real quick, because I'm going to switch him out of the boppy because he's awake and she's asleep. So this is little Ryan. This is little Ryan. She's a lot smaller. Well, not a lot. She weighed, last appointment, she weighed 6'15". He's 7.5. So she's not too small. She's actually longer than him. And her head is a little bit bigger than his. So he's kind of a chunky monkey and eats a lot more, but she's catching up very quickly. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Switch them out. Switch the babies out. Yes. You learn to do things differently when you have twins, because, you only have two hands, but you learn to use them. One for each baby so far. When they get a little bigger, though, this is going to be so difficult to do. Okay. Let's put you right here. Pay attention to you. Okay. So, anyway, she was on the tube for a long time, and she had her ups and downs. There were days when we were like, oh, yes, we're getting ready to go home. And then there was times when she just kind of went back to not eating. And basically, she was using up a lot of energy trying to eat. And then the more people held her, the more energy she was burning. And so we eventually had to just tell visitors that they could look at her, but not to touch her, and they couldn't hold her. Because even though they're sleeping, when you pass them from one person to another person, they're not really asleep. They're waking up. And so then she's burning all of her energy, and which is burning calories, which is, not helping her gain weight. So we did have to we left the holding to me and my husband when we were feeding her. We were the only ones that were really feeding her as well. The others, our visitors and stuff, they could feed Carter because he was eating really well, but they could not feed her because, we had to make sure that she was getting X amount of ounces, or milliliters at this point, X amount of milliliters in her system within like 30 minutes. Like if she was taking an hour to eat, that really wasn't acceptable. And she was burning a lot more energy the longer we tried to make her eat. So we would typically give it about 30 minutes, let her eat what she could, and then we sent her to the nursery to be topped off. So, yeah. We ended up going home on our anniversary date, which was the 19th. So, we, the doctors came in every morning and they gave us an update, told us how much they were weighing and growing and whatnot. And Carter was actually discharged a few days before she was, but they let us stay in the room still, and they let Carter still have diapers and formula, so we didn't have to go get anything. That stuff's kind of given to them anyway from their samples, basically. And so, they were super nice. I love the staff at that hospital. So we came home on the 19th because she started eating regularly again, and she was able to have the tube out. And once we got home, she kind of took off from there. I think it was just everybody was comfortable. We still watched her, and she still has moments where she won't eat a whole lot, but for the most part, she's eating about the same as Carter right now. And then they both kind of have times when they'll just, I guess it's kind of like growth spurts. They'll eat a bunch at one time, and then the next time they don't eat very much. They at least get the breast milk down, which I'm thankful for because I'm pumping. I'm not breastfeeding after her having her feeding issues and stuff, and me having to monitor how much she's eating and making sure she was eating what she's supposed to. It's just easier for me to pump. Now that she's kind of like on the roll and eating well, I guess I could breastfeed, but I'm so used to pumping now that I think I'm just going to stick with it. And plus, breastfeeding 2 babies is very difficult. I definitely couldn't do it at the same time. We tried it in the hospital, and you need more than 2 hands to feed them at the same time. So I'd have to feed them separately, which is fine, but I don't know. It just I didn't feel like it wasn't going to be for me. I felt that because I have 2 babies, it was going to be a little bit more difficult for me, especially since I was home alone and watching them and everything else. So I decided not to do that. Pumping was going to be easier for me. So I've been pumping all along. I've learned to, I'll feed them, and sometimes I'll be feeding one and I'll be pumping at the same time. So it's not taking up any more time than it would have. And so yeah, I did have a little bit of a worry that I wasn't going to produce enough milk, and honestly, I'm not producing enough milk for them to be strictly on breast milk. They are still on formula, but I kind of want them on formula because she had to be on the high calorie up until her 1-month appointment. When she came off of it, she was on the high calorie formula. So I'm glad that they are on formula and breast milk. They're kind of half and half. They're mainly breast milk, but 1 ounce is probably formula that they eat. And I'm kind of glad for that because and pumping as well, is because I can have people help me feed them, and that has been a lifesaver. There's times I don't get sleep. Anyone who says they get sleep, they're lying. You don't get sleep. I'm pumping every 3 hours, if not every 2 hours. So you're only sleeping maybe, you might get an hour in between feedings after everything's said and done to take a nap. And that's if they let you take a nap. So feeding every 3 hours still. Now that they're over a month old, we are trying to see if they would sleep through the night, but they're still on their 3-hour feeding. So, but yeah, everybody's home, everybody's healthy. My husband's been going to work. I've been staying home with the babies, and I will go ahead and end the vlog here because I'd like to do a video on like how it is at home during the day and stuff. But I did want to go ahead and give you a couple of videos. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. And I did want to show you the babies. I'll add some pictures and some things at the end of the video, but I do appreciate everybody being patient with me, and I do apologize again for lacking in the video process, but it has been very difficult with twins. So, well, it's almost time to pump again and get ready to give these babies some food. So I'm going to let you go. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask, or I hope to do a couple more videos on things like I learned that I probably didn't need, that I put on my baby registry, and things that I probably should have put on my baby registry. And then I hope to be doing like a nursery tour that's still not put together all the way, but I hope to be doing one of those for you. So so more videos to come. It'll probably be like once a week type thing until I get in the hang of this whole twin. They are, what are you guys, 7 weeks now? But it's still, I still don't have a lot of time to do much of anything. And, when we do have time to do anything, I'm sleeping. So, until the next video, I will talk to you girls later. Bye.